Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. My name is Scott Mines, probably better known as HowlingMines here on the internet, and welcome along to my YouTube channel. You probably find yourself here because you have a passing interest in getting involved in Flesh and Blood, the TCG that's kind of taking the world by storm with its popularity across the tables right now. If you don't know who I am a Magic the Gathering content creator, and I have been for a couple of years now. And I've been involved in the trading card game space for about 13 years, and I love it. I wouldn't change anything for the world. And if you, like me, have an interest in Flesh and Blood and you want to get involved, you're coming from other card games, have some experience in the space, well, hopefully this little video series is going to help you get your foot in that door and understand the game a little bit better. We got 3 videos in this series. All of them are available on this channel now at your earliest convenience to kind of give you a gateway into Flesh and Blood, and then to take a little bit deeper along the way as well. This first video in the set is very much nothing but the fundamentals, the absolute basics. We're going to take a look at a couple of cards on the tabletop, inside of Tabletop Simulator, kind of walk you through them, what they look like, what numbers you need to be paying attention to, and exactly how the game works. In the second video, we're going to play a game with one of my local players at a snail's pace. So keeping things very slow, kind of walking through every card as we go, explaining to you what it does, how things are working, all the moving steps, so hopefully you can follow along as we play. And then the third and final game of this set is kind of picking up the pace a little bit more on that. We have a second game, same heroes as the first game, but a little bit faster, a little bit less explanations going on. So hopefully you'll realise you can follow along and you now have a better understanding of what's going on by the time you get to that video at the end. I've been really lucky to have some early results in Flesh and Blood here in the UK, and I love the game to pieces, and if I can do anything to make it grow, I'm going to try and do exactly that. So if you do like this video, you want to see more Flesh and Blood from me, consider subscribing, maybe follow me over on Twitch, HowlingMines, or Twitter elsewhere at HowlingMines as well. Come and have a chat, let me know what you think, and hopefully I'll see you for some more things Magic the Gathering and Flesh and Blood here on the channel very, very soon. Take care and enjoy. Shall we roll to see who wants to go first this time?
Sure thing.
Can you beat 1? Just about.
Yes.
Apparently that counts. I'm assuming you would like to go first, question mark?
I'm a Tunic deck, so it makes a lot of sense for me to want to go
Yeah,
first.
it makes a whole lot of sense. So very best of luck. Let's see what we can do with a hero that I'm not a specialist of, and on a live broadcast for the first time, where no doubt my pacing is slightly off and my brain is split trying to think about 9 different.
So, interesting turn, because I don't want you to fill your hand too much. I'm going to start with a Virgin Beat now.
Certainly. So you're going to not give me the option of blocking with some of these. What would you like to intimidate away?
I'm going to intimidate this one. Yep, no more intimidations. And then I'm going to come in with my weapon.
Okay, so this is an interesting one. You're threatening 7 damage from this Mandible Claw if I don't make any blocks. But I almost certainly should in this case. I'm just going to put 2 cards in front of it, as I should, to turn off Barraging Beatdown and block for 6 in this.
Sure thing. I'm going to close the chain, and then I'm going to arsenal a card.
Seems good. So we'll get our Spellblade Assault back in this particular case, being intimidated away, and of course, it being the first turn of the game, we do get to refresh up to our full amount of cards, regardless of the fact that it's not our turn. So keep. Really awkward little hand here, honestly. We blocked with 2 blues kind of aggressively, and then drew 2 reds, and our hand kind of struggles to pay for all this stuff we would like it to do, because we'd really like to play this Movrian Skies as a non-attack action, but it is our only blue, which makes this pretty difficult all in all. I do think I would rather be saving important cards for later in this spot. Maybe not having such a wider turn, but like using our cards not like wastefully, which it feels like I will probably do if I chuck out Movrian Skies or use it to pay for Spellblade Assault and don't do an awful lot else. So in this particular case, I think I'm going to start things off by pitching Movrian Sky, using it to pay for stuff to have a slightly more productive turn. We're actually going to start off by playing a Rune Blood Incantation.
Ooh.
We get to look at a really sweet card here. This isn't one that we've kind of seen before. This is an aura. Auras are a thing that exists in Flesh and Blood. They stay in the arena until they blow themselves up for whatever reason. They do things while they are in the arena. So Runeblight Incantation here has go again, so it won't rob me of my only action point to play. They do require an action to play your auras in a lot of cases. It comes in with 3 verse counters, and then from my action phases moving forward, I'll take a verse counter off to make a rune chant token. If I fail to do that, it will finally blow itself up. So it doesn't do anything this turn, but it does mean that over the next 3 turns, we're slowly going to gain an additional rune chant every single start of our action phase. So 3 counters go on this for now. And then I'm going to find myself spending my other 2 resources to play this red Spellblade Assault onto the combat chain. Now, I have played a non-attack action, so I make a rune chant from Viscerai, and then you'll find that the Spellblade Assault itself will also make 2 more. Hey, Riley, it's really good to see you, friend. While coming in for 4 physical, so we end up having 3 rune chants behind at this moment in time, and 4 physical damage.
Yeah, seems very reasonable. Which one do I? This is arguably a worse card. I'm going to just block 3 here.
Blocking 3 of it, no worries. I have no reactions. You may take a point of damage.
Sure thing.
And I will just close off this combat chain. Now, I'm out of action points. I'm out of things to do, and I would like to save this card for later. So I'm going to move to end and move to Arsenal. Tuck it away. And refill. It's not so much digital now, Riley. This is just on Tabletop Simulator. People have programmed a mod to let you play on desktop. So I'm just doing a little bit of exploration of what I can do with it in terms of making content. I ran through like a bit of a tutorial earlier on to kind of bring people into the basics. And now I'm just running through a few games with a friend of mine, Danny, to kind of showcase the gameplay of the game as well. Feel free to hang out and chill if you want.
So, time for very much the gotcha card in this game. I'm going to aggressively point.
God damn it. Okay, well, obviously we arsenaled quite a valuable card here. We really did kind of want to save to do cool stuff. We talked about Command and Conquer a little bit briefly earlier on. This attacking for 6 and threatening all the cards in our arsenal, not being easy to defend. Pretty bad news. But we do have to assume that for the most part this is the only attack coming from Danny. It's really hard to give this go again. I do actually think my hand is more valuable than my arsenal, as much as that really blows. So I think I'm just going to take this one on the chin, and I'm going to declare no blocks on this Command and Conquer. You may aggressively point at me. I'll take 6, puts me all the way down to 34, and you do blow up a Swarming Gloomveil.
Oh, yeah, that's a nice one. So, I'm going to close the chain. I'm going to arsenal a card, and I will pass to you.
Okie dokie. So, time for us to see what we can do with this hand. The start of the action phase, our aura ticks down, and we make a rune chant. Now we're in a bit of a weird spot here, because one of the cards in our hand is very suggestive of the fact we should try and go for a big Sonata with our Skeleta. But we don't really actually have a way of gaining go again on an attack right now, so if we brick off on a go again attack from Sonata, we don't actually have a way of kind of keeping the turn spinning, which is really concerning. So I kind of have to consider how we go about doing this. And I think I can jump through some hoops to make this work. I have to just read some of my own cards again real quick. Again, I'm no specialist on Viscerai. It's one of the first times I've played the hero in CC. So I've got to double check everything works the way that I want it to. And it might be time for us to get a little bit complicated and a little bit finicky here. See what we can get away with in terms of cool turns. And I think I got something sweet. I'm going to go for it, and hopefully I'm not horribly wrong. So let's find out. We're going to pitch this Oath of the Arknight for 3 resources. Steal a dice. I'll keep stealing all your dice, I'm sorry. I'll steal this one. I'll put that back. I'm going to spend 2 of these resources. I'm going to come in with a blue Spellblade Assault onto the combat chain. It is going to bring these 4 rune chants forward. It is going to make 2 more. From its own ability, not from Viscerai's. And I'd like to hold priority in this particular spot.
Sure thing.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crack my Bloodsheath Skeleta at this point. So if we forget about exactly how this card works from earlier on, this is an instant that I can destroy my chess piece and make my next attack action and non-attack action this turn costs 1 less for every rune chant I control. So I want to do this before my rune chants blow up and deal damage to the face of my opponent, which is why I'm going to crack this now and get a total of 6 cost reduction on my next 2 things this turn, which I think is really important. So we're going to break this, and we're going to grab a dice here to remind ourselves that our next attack and non-attack are reduced by 6 this time.
That sequencing's really nice. I didn't realize you could do it in response to that. That's really cool. Okay, right. So what I'm thinking about for the folks at home is obviously creepers. I'm not going to be able to prevent this action, so I'm not too worried about the arcane because it's still gonna happen, and I can assume from the Scalia that you've got Sonara Arcanix in hand. So I'm going to pitch 3, pitch 4.
Yep. So you'd like to prevent these rune chants?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
These cards also don't block.
Well, that also helps, in fairness.
So
4 rune chants prevented, no problem.
Mm-hmm. And then, my turn. Spellblade.
2 physical left over.
I feel like I'll take the 2 physical there.
Cool. So we showed this off in the last game, getting a little bit funky. We are going to spend our remaining resource to activate our spellbound creepers, much like Danny was just talking about. Going to put a bind counter onto them to play something as an instant. It is in fact a Sonata Arcanix. Viscerai's ability here is going to make me a rune chant. But in this particular case, a Sonata is 6 cheaper due to our Skeleta, which means it is not just going to be a case of playing it as a 0. We are in fact going to play it with X equals 3, which means we get to look at 6 cards from this when we do its effect, which is obviously really, really powerful. So let's do exactly that. Let's look at 6 cards and see what split we find off of our Sonata Arcanix. Oh, flipping things back and forth. So attack. Fortunately, yeah, it looks like a 4-2 split in this case. So only 2, not 3. But however, that being said, we get to put both of these attacks into our hand. So red Amplify, red Spellblade Assault. The rest of these are going to go back into our deck, and you have 2 Arcane from Sonata Arcanix floating around. You may do something about.
Yeah. So the unfortunate thing for me here is because I do not have lower life, I cannot use my Arcane Barrier 3. So it's kind of inconsequential. The boots are going to stick around, which is what I was worried about. So I'm going to take the 2 Arcane.
Okay, so I'm going to exile this Sonata before I forget.
This card, so that was still in the reaction step, so obviously...
It certainly was, so this chain is still open, and my next attack is still reduced by 6. Which is obviously pretty darn good. Unfortunately for you, it's a bit better than you thought it was going to be too. Because that next attack is a 9th Blade of the Blood Oath, which is exactly free because I made 3 rune chants after the Scalia. So this is actually going to generate another rune chant from Viscerai. You've got 9 and 3 Arcane coming in from...
Well, guys.
It was a pretty big turn. It was a lot of Viscerai things in a particular case.
Yeah, we're taking more than the 2 Arcades, so no response to
the Arcanes are taking all 3?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
Ooh,
and
yeah.
Then
9 physical.
We're just gonna put our hand in front of this.
Yeah, so blocking 5 here, is that right? 6 here, but barraging me down does block for 3. I'm just stupid. Yeah, I have no reactions. You may take 3.
Sure. 1, 2, 3.
I will finally close down this combat chain. Unfortunately, neither of the cards in my hand gave me a way of getting go again, so I can't threaten any other attacks here. I am just going to arsenal one of these for later. For the most part, I feel safer arsenaling this one in this particular case. So I'm going to move to end, arsenal this, tuck it away. The creepers do survive. You took too much arcane damage to kill them. I will refill and pass to you.
Yes. Well, unfortunate. We're going to simply uptick and pass.
We did indeed earn the entire hand there from Danny. Put on an awful lot of pressure. The start of the action phase, our aura ticks down once again and makes me a second case. Kind of cool. We drew a pretty good hand here, actually. Gives us a menagerie of options, which is very, very sweet. We do want to try and prioritize the whole non-attack action into attack action play pattern that something like Oath of the Arknight lets us have here. So we're going to use this other blue to pay for stuff to make sure that we can play one of each and kind of do a little bit of what Viserai wants us to. So I'm going to pitch this blue Spellblade Assault in this case. Going to spend 2 of it for an Oath of the Arknight. So for those who have not seen this card so far, it's a really cool little non-attack action that blocks 3. It gives my next Runeblade attack +1, and it also makes me a Rune Chant token on the way out while giving me Go Again. So I'm going to juice the number up to 3. And my next Runeblade attack is going to have +1.
Okay.
Cool. So now we need to consider about exactly how we want to sequence this. Need to double check what this card is. It is indeed what I thought it was. That's fine. So we need to just have a pretty... I guess we have no good way of so I horribly missequenced this. This is lack of Viserai. And for the sake of showing people what we actually should have done, I am going to reverse this and kind of show people how this should play out. No, just because I don't want my lack of experience with Viserai ruining this situation, having realised what I should have done. Let's reverse this just a smidge. We are going to still pitch this blue, but we only have the 2 rune chants, so we have reversed this properly. We're going to spend 2 resources still. I'm not cheating, I'm just stupid. It's not cheating if you're just dumb. Yeah, okay. The way we do this is spend 1 resource, not 2. Because this Amplify the Arknight is reduced by 2, having 2 rune chants. And Area 4 is coming in for 6. We'll show this off again, gets reduced for every rune chant I have. Coming in for 6 physical. But I need to hold on to my non-attack action and play it as an instant to get a second attack off this turn, which I don't get to do if I start on it. So, real easy learning mistake. We learned something there for a fact. We want to try and use our shoes to cheat this in again and get an extra attack off. Otherwise, we just end up playing Oath, attacking, and doing nothing else, which is significantly worse than what we...
This is a conundrum. I'm going to declare no blocks.
Cool. So we are, of course, in this attack reaction step. I am going to choose to spend a resource on Spellbound Creepers. Particular case, pops this up here. Does this still not work? Am I stupid? Man, I suck at this deck. Still doesn't work, does it? Your boy is not clever, apparently, chat. And this is why we learn to play decks together at the end of the day. I don't have enough resources to pay for everything, which is kind of the problem. Also, I'm very much cheating, because these should be coming at you too.
Oh yeah, the 2 would be coming at me.
They certainly
well.
would. Good lord. So we did so well in game 1 when I was explaining everything, now I'm just like missing everything.
So I'll take the... oh, actually, before I do that... no, I don't want to do that. Let's not missequence myself as well. I want to be pitching for these rune chants.
Sure, that's fine.
So
do you understand, again, guys? There's a lot of moving pieces here. It's pretty easy to make mistakes, especially when I'm trying to focus on a couple other things as well. So we just want to try and make sure we get it down pat, and it'll make you feel better about starting too. I've been playing this game long enough now, and turns out I still goof all over the shop. So I am, in fact...
Yeah, and on my end, I want to be, say, for example, if I'm seeing a Viserai player start on a card with non-attack, you know, I can maybe assume that they're going to blow creepers, so here I would be trying to really focus on preventing that arcane. So.
I'm going to accept I priced myself into this. I think I played this turn pretty badly, but that's okay. Honestly, it's a learning experience at the end of the day. So I am, in fact, going to have to... I've paid for creepers, I'll pitch a red in this case, and use my remaining resource to play this Oath of the Arknight. Yeah, it's going to make me a rune chant.
And give
it's fine. And will give me Go Again, but that's going to achieve a whole lot of nothing, because I am very, very silly. and did not sequence this in any kind of meaningful way. But again, this is how we learn, right? At the end of the day, we all make mistakes, and that is definitely the most egregious one I've made so far.
I'll take the 6 as well.
Yeah, no worries. I'm going to lose my shoes because I did not save them in any meaningful way. And lessons learned to consider how to sequence my Spellblade Assault, not become the Arknight, amplify the Arknight hands just a little teeny bit better, because that was pretty poorly put together. Lessons learned. Am I playing this because it's one of the simpler heroes? No. No, Viserai and the Runeblades in general are quite intrinsically complicated. There's a lot of moving parts. For me, I just thought it might be better if I was playing a deck where I had to learn at the same time as teaching chat, because then it feels like we're learning together, as opposed to me playing something I'm super fluent with and kind of getting carried away and playing too fast and losing chat. So I wanted to play something that I was going to forcefully be made to play slowly, which then, unsurprisingly, when I try to pick up the pace a little bit, I fuck up.
So, our opponent had a bit of an off turn. So now, I'm going to be a little bit greedy. Got to keep a few more cards in hand. So, we're going to go with a Bloodrush Bellow.
Big old Bloodrush Bellow. We talked about this one last time. Really big power card for Brute here.
We're going to be discarding the 1 card in our hand, Alpha Rampage.
Okay, so you do get an Intimidation.
Our Bloodrush is live. So discarding, intimidating that, and then we are going to draw 2 cards.
Totally, definitely a good strategy.
This is an interesting one.
Bloodrush here threatening to add a lot of damage to this combat chain. Good chance we're going to be on the back foot now, because we kind of took a whole hand and did not a lot with it. And now our opponent kind of gets to gain tempo of the game.
And now you get to see why I use claws with right now. So spending 2 on our first claws, this is coming in for 5.
Yes, this is a really big power play here that we can kind of talk about for a second. The reason you kind of play Mandible Claws, we talked about these in detail earlier on, but they gain go again if you discarded a 6. But they're also just brute weapons, which mean they do get buffed by the buff from your Bloodrush Bellow. So these are going to be coming in for 5 each and giving themselves go again, which means you are going very wide on your Bloodrush Bellow turns, which is super scary being on the other side of it. Our hand doesn't block particularly well either, which is definitely a bit of a sponge. However, I'm unfortunately really in this spot. I've kind of priced myself in to needing to keep my whole hand to have any kind of reasonable turn coming back here, to try and regain tempo in any kind of way. So I think there's a good chance most of this turn is going to have to hit my face for me to actually be able to get back into this game and try and recover from the mistakes I made last turn. So I'm going to declare no blocks on this claw.
Yeah, no reactions.
And we're going to take 5, go to 29.
We're going to come in with the second claw.
Yep, same thought process here, no blocks.
Sure, no
Take
reactions.
5 down to 24.
It's a hell of a turn to take it face. We're going to spend another 2, and then we're going to come in with Swing Big.
Yeah,
this will be coming in for 10.
That's a lot of damage.
20 damage turn.
Emotional, damn it. Yeah, that's a fucking problem. Again, I'm very much committed to this line here. This is a lot of damage, but I think I have to try and regain tempo to have a chance here. So I'm going to swallow my pride and swallow Reinar's Fist and take another 10 damage and fall down to 14.
So the power of Brute really getting showcased there.
Yeah, really big, powerful, wide turn. Good way to push 20 damage. Just threatens half my life total in a big power turn. And if I want a chance to get back in, I've just got to accept that that's damage I have to take, because there's no way I can defend it and get back into this game.
And then I'm going to pass to you.
Alrighty, so this Intimidated card is going to come back to our hand. Action phase begins. This last counter gets removed to make a second rune chant. This will not destroy itself yet for some reason. It will blow up next turn, which is not making a rune chant, so that's fine. We do have to make sure we sequence this turn correctly, but we do actually have the resources to do everything we want to do. We just got to be real careful about how we do it. So we're going to go Yellow Movrian Skies in this particular case to start things off. this only cares specifically about Runeblade attack actions, so we can start here and not lose the go again to other non-attack actions, which is really, really... we are then going to pitch a blue Movrian Skies, in this case, and spend one of these resources to play another Runeblood incantation. This is going to have 3 counters on it. It won't do anything yet, but most importantly, it will make a rune chant from Viserai. I've already played a non-attack action this turn in the form of Movrian Skies, which is pretty cool. We're going to spend the remaining 2 resources we have here to use our Arsenal card in the form of this red Spellblade Assault. So this is going to make 3 rune chants behind, 1 from Viserai, 2 from itself. It is coming in for 4 and 3 with Go Again, and if it hits, it will make 2 more rune chants.
Okay. Just thinking this through. So yeah, one of the beautiful things, and the thing that really, really drew me in a Fab, is you have this kind of more describable, more kind of obvious tempo, where now I have more life, you know, as they say in card games, life is a resource, but I can start to use that to make decisions of, you know, how much do I want to respect this, you know, what is important here, to prevent. I've earned the boots, maybe through a bit of help from my opponent.
Hey, look, I'm not good with this deck, okay? We're all here to learn together.
So suddenly arcane damage is a little bit one I can take a bit more of a chip on because it's not doing as much. There is meet and greet in the deck, which I'm aware of, but you know, the worry here is that Movrian Skies trigger. So thinking how I'm sequencing this, do I think? So I'm gonna pitch 3 for Arcane Barrier anyway.
Okay, so no rune chants coming in. They are prevented.
Or
physical. If it hits, make 2.
So this has happened a few times where I'm getting less value at the skull cap. But I think this is correct.
Okay, very interesting block. Choosing to block out all of the physical. So I end up in a weird spot here now. I know that my opponent has 2 cards left in their hand, and there's a good chance I can force them to, you know, either take a chunk of damage in the form of attacking with Rosetta Thorn, or earn the cards in their hand and really give me some tempo. Or I can save this card in my hand. This card in my hand is really quite good. If I don't pitch it to Rosetta Thorn for an attack here. I really could be quite powerful in later turns. And I think this is a very close decision. I think a more experienced Viserai player would know what they wanted to do in a spot like this. I could get a little greedy and play this from my hand and then look to, you know, hit a card with it and use that card to pay for Rosetta Thorn. And that seems super greedy and probably like a waste of Sonata. But it does make me a rune chant with Viserai. It lets me maybe come in for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage with Rosetta Thorn. Which is quite a lot of damage, but there's a good chance it also just kind of gets stomached, and they keep a 2-card hand to volley back at me. There's a whole Tunic resource over there. It's going to make it a little easier for them to play a good 2-card hand. And I don't think 8 damage necessarily, even if I get there, is going to make me better against the 2-card hand my opponent's kept. I think I'm more likely to get value from arsenaling this card so that I have more to recover with. If I have to try and block out a big hit from their 2-card hand. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to choose not to attack here in this case. I'm going to just close this combat chain. And I'm going to choose to move to end, move to Arsenal, try and keep this card safe for later.
Sure thing.
And refill.
Okay. So, on my turn, gonna really show off here one of the all-stars of Ep.3. One of my favourite cards that I totally slept on, and I think it's amazing. So we're going to use the Tunic resource here to float 1.
Okay.
I'm going to play Savage Feast. So this, as initial cost to play this, yeah, you discard a random card. So we're going to discard a 6 from hand.
Yep.
So this will give us an Intimidation trigger. But it also lets us draw a card. So this lets me add another card and arsenal it. Kind of helps play amazingly with the Tunic and kind of keep a bit of tempo, you know, have a 5-card hand going into the next turn.
Yeah, really sweet observation. Definitely kind of showing what Savage Feast is here to do as a card. It's really, really cool to see it seen play as well. So you are going to get an Intimidation trigger here. That's a thing that's going to happen. That's actually perfect. We kind of wanted Danny here to hit the blue so that we can save it. Because realistically, we need it to pay for a turn next turn. Which is super, super reasonable. Hand is very awkward. We don't really have a good way of generating go again currently, which means I think I want to be more aggressive with blocking with cards from my hand here and look to recover with a reasonable one attack turn than getting like super greedy, trying to like you know find a way to get go again and have fuel for that attack. So I think I'm just going to be sensible here, and I'm going to choose to block. How do I do this? So I know I have this in Arsenal. This is the blue, which is fine. So I want to make sure that I have an attack that's worth doing. And I could keep this, which doesn't really do much, or I can just keep this, which is likely to be cheaper. I'm going to choose to block 5 in this case, and that's going to be everything. Do you have any reactions?
No reactions.
No worries. So I'm going to take the one that leaks through here and go to 13.
I'll close the chain. And I'm going to choose to keep the card I drew in my hand. As like you saw Scott do. Sometimes it isn't just a case of volley everything or kind of go for those value plays. In certain matchups, there might be reasons to keep other cards as opposed to others. So I'm going to just refill an additional 3 cards here and pass to you.
Super reasonable. So I get my Intimidated card back, and it's very, very sweet. So start of the action phase, this one blows itself up. This one makes a rune chant. And now we have some options. We can either just volley this straight away and keep the card in Arsenal. But I think I would much rather do this, maybe add some fuel to it, and potentially find like a way to maybe find like a meet and greet or something like that might be able to make my turn go a whole attack wider. So I'm actually going to pitch this Tome of the Arknight, and I'm going to spend 2 of it in this particular case. And choose to make Sonata here for X is 1, put 2 resources into. So I'm going to look at 4 cards, which gives me a small chance of spiking 2 cards from this. Which if I do and I score 2 Arcane, actually means I'm guaranteed to have like a meet and greet having go again if I find one, which I think is the risk I want to take. So we're going to look at the top 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Flippity, 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 flippity. That is unfortunately a 1. So we take this Shrill, and these are all going to go back into the deck. You have 1 Arcane coming at you. What would you like to do about it?
So, to kind of show off my line from earlier, the card I kept in hand is this one.
It's an energy potion.
So, yeah, so I wanted to hold it. I see a blue, and I'm like, let's assume my opponent has a lot of rune chants coming at me. So this is a card that I've sided in for this matchup. It comes up in a couple of the matchups, but the main thing against Runeblades is Broods kind of play a lot of bigger 6 attacks, so they're quite expensive. So I don't play many blues in my main deck. So here we're going to use this to pay for the Arcane.
Yep, makes sense. This is going to banish itself. So now I find myself in a little bit more of an interesting situation. I know my opponent has floating resources to pay for some of these rune chants if I send them. Maybe that means that I want a potion seller. Well, sooner or later we'll have a potion seller for sure. But yeah, maybe I want to not attack and burn these rune chants and deprive them of using those resources. But it means I have a really crap turn if I do that. So I think for the most part, I'm probably just going to fire off an attack here, accepting I didn't find a way to get go again, and like Arsenal a card to try and save for later. Sadly, I can't pay for this, or I would probably attack with it because arsenaling this seems a lot better. Arsenaling a blue is never great, but I think it's probably just correct here. So we are indeed just going to amplify the Arknight. This is going to make a rune chant behind, courtesy of the fact we've played a non-attack action, coming in for 6 and 4.
How am I? No additional stuff. Okay. Just thinking what my next turn looks like.
Yeah, something you should definitely be doing.
Find that. Okay, this is interesting. We'll get the value of this. We'll spend 2 on the rune chants.
Okie
2 left.
2 left.
So, I'll take those 2.
Okay.
And then for
6
the
physical
most value of this, I'm going to block with Blue Brown to beat down.
Okay, so I have no reactions here. You may take 3 if you have no reactions either.
1, 2, 3.
Close this chain. I'm just going to move to end. Move to art. Look to pass the turn. Slowly catching up here after like taking ourselves really off tempo, but quite a big hand still here. 2-card hand from Reinhard. Definitely capable of presenting a chunk of damage.
So we're gonna do a bit of a gamble, which I kind of like doing. So we're gonna play this card here.
Ooh, a sand sketch plan. Yeah, explain this one to us a little bit.
Okay, so this is again a Rhinar specialization, so only he gets to play it. And what it does is it lets us search our deck for a card that is literally any card, and I don't have to reveal it. Put it into my hand, then discard a random card, then shuffle your deck. If the discarded card had 6 or more attack, gain 2 action points.
Yeah, so for you folks coming from Magic, it's very much akin to Gamble, a card that sees an awful lot of play in some strategies way back when. But important that you discard a 6, otherwise you don't get to do anything else afterwards. But, of course, a Demonic Tutor style effect, tutoring any card you want, super, super powerful. If you're gambling, though, and you could miss, there's definitely some real risk involved.
So, I've added it. I'll shuffle my deck,
Yeah.
and I'll let you pick.
So I got a 1 out of 2 here to discard the card you searched for, or discard the card that you didn't search for. I think I'm going for this one.
And I flipped them for a bit of dramatic effect. So let's see. So this is the card I had in hand.
Okay, so I didn't hit the thing you searched for, but this is still a 6, so you're going to generate 2 action points here, which means you do have the ability to do 2 things.
And I do get an intimidation trigger. However, the card I added was the one I was hoping to discard.
I see.
So the Beast Within from before that we explained that when it's
yes, managed to avoid the Beast Within. Very, very nice.
Yeah, which is rare. It seems whenever me and Scott play, he seems to hit these kind of.
Digital changes everything. I only hit them in paper.
So
what would you like to intimidate?
With that, I'm honestly not going to do anything else, just to save the intim trigger.
Not even going to send the claw at me?
I'd rather keep it in hand, actually.
Rather hold the Beast Within? Okay, sure.
So, I'll pass on that.
Well, that is a huge relief for us, because, truth be told, looking at the hand we have, we probably weren't likely to block very much anyway, barring armor. So having a whole reprieve where we didn't take any damage and got to keep our whole hand, that is a huge deal in a spot like this. So we're going to take our wins where we can get them. This is going to tick on down and make me another rune chant in this particular case. And then we need to think about exactly how we want to sequence this. I know the turn starts here. Mordred Tide is definitely the powerhouse in this deck and is going to start churning through a chunk of rune chants. As to exactly what I want to do after it, however, I do have to have a real quick think. Unfortunately, I think I'm in a weird spot where I haven't found a Swarming Gloomveil this game. No, I lie, there is one in my graveyard, ignore me. Which is probably the one that I'm going to want here, honestly, from this Rattlebones. We're about to go very, very wide and dump an awful lot of damage on this table. The question is, what is the best way to do it? Because I don't think I can get to this card this turn. There's no way I can cast this in a reasonable manner. So it's likely just paying for the Rattlebones, even though it's tempting to try. So yeah, I'm just going to... Mordred Tide is the powerhouse of the cell. Yeah, something like that. Mitochondria, Mordred Tide, something to that. We're going to pitch this Ninth Blade of the Blood Oath. We're going to spend both of it to play a Rattlebones. This is going to generate 2 rune chants from Viserai, because I've already played a non-attack action.
It certainly is a powerhouse.
It certainly is a powerhouse of the cell and of this game. So we're going to grab this Swarming Gloomveil out of my graveyard. That we can replay this turn whenever we would like to. It does, unsurprisingly, turn out that time is probably now. So we are going to play this Gloomveil. We have made 3 rune chants or more this turn. We make 2 more behind. So this is going to be coming in for 4 and 4 arcane, which is obviously quite a lot of damage. But if the physical damage from Swarming Gloomveil hits, it has a really powerful third ability, kind of hidden by this rune chant token about now. You can't prevent arcane for the rest of the turn, which is obviously going to be really, really problematic for all these rune chants we're spewing out. if Danny lets the physical hit. So you got 4 and 4 with Go Again coming at you.
And unfortunately, if I take all the rune chance, I still have too much life that it will not turn my skull cap on, which is definitely a problem.
It was definitely deliberate. Planned.
How are we dealing with this? Yeah, one of the concessions is being like, okay, well, I know this is an explosive turn, so if I'm going to pick turns to use my hand, this would be one of them, a Mordred Tide. But I also, I had the tempo. I've got the life lead. Maybe I can swing it back in my favor.
Definitely something to think about for sure.
If I do this, it's not looking great. We're gonna pitch 3.
Okay. So preventing 3 of the arcane.
Yeah.
1 left.
And I'm gonna take 1.
Pink. Yep.
And then it's like, how painful is this? We don't have the life, so I actually think, and this is a bit of a hard one to swallow, but I think I'm gonna block with my Tunica.
Yeah, see, using that 1 block on Tunic, even though it has Blade Break, is often going to be very important when you need to turn off a hit trigger like this one. Being able to have the option to prevent Arcane for the rest of this turn looks like it might be important in a spot like this. So using that to hit that key mark of 4 and make sure this doesn't hit, probably about as good as it gets when it comes to blocking with Tunic. So, yep, very much agree with this. That makes a whole lot of sense, in which case we need to decide how we want to continue to sequence this turn. It is very tempting to just pitch to Rosetta Thorn in this particular spot, but I think we are better off just pushing the maximum damage we can here. Pretty clear that Danny wants to keep some tempo, willing to block with their Tunic even, so I would rather just dump the maximum I can. And given I have a Mordred Tide active this turn, playing more Runeblade cards also definitely has some kind of premium. So we're going to spend 2 resources from pitching this Movrian Skies to fire off this Shrill in this particular case. So this is going to send 2 more rune chants at you, make 2 more from the Mordred Tide. And it is coming in for 5 and 2 in this particular case.
Yeah. So, obviously, I didn't know what the other 2 cards were. So this is one of the reasons I decided to not let that hit trigger. Even if now I choose, well, okay, this isn't as much Arcane as I was worried about. A lot of decisions on Fab, it's like, you'll have a plan, and then your opponent will play something, and you're immediately like, right, half his hand.
Yeah, like, for example, in a spot like this, if you choose to maybe not make Arcane preventable, maybe I choose to swing with Rosetta Thorn instead. And I guarantee myself a chunk of damage you can't do anything about, so... very likely a thing I would have done if maybe the Arcane was unpreventable, but given that it wasn't, I'd rather make more rune chants and push more damage.
So, gonna take the rune chant.
2 indeed, going to the face. 5 physical from this Shrill.
It's painful, but we're gonna take it.
Okay, so we've scored the life lead back somehow. But looks like our Brute player is intent on keeping a reasonable hand to push back with, so definitely not out of the woods just yet. We don't get to Arsenal here because we chose to pitch all our cards to pay for stuff. So we are indeed going to be putting the pitch stack on the bottom and refilling and passing over to you.
So, as we mentioned in the last game, keeping track on Skull Cap, it might come up here. We're going to retaliate with a Swing Big.
Ooh, yeah. Swing Big is, again, this big, bulky Brute attack. Very hard to block out. Commands a lot of respect. Going to be kind of hard to get this go again here, but definitely the kind of best 2-card hand you can have. Like blocking or preventing Arcane with 2 cards, keeping 2 cards, and then getting to come back for 8 is a lot of damage. Especially given that, as we say, Danny chose to go below my life total and turn my Skull Cap back off, which is super important in a spot like this. My hand is strange. I think, realistically, I might be priced into taking this hit to try and have some kind of reasonable turn on the way back. Let's think about what this looks like. This pops and gives me a 3rd rune chant, which means this ends up being free, which means I then probably pay for this. Which means I have this left over. So maybe I can afford to soak up a little bit of this damage. Or I can Arsenal this card. And it really depends on how I think this game is going to go, because like maybe taking 5 here instead, going to 8 is more valuable than arsenaling this card. But I think realistically, what I'm thinking about here, maybe my first attack of the turn leads to this card being active, and I'm going to want it. Maybe I'm going to want Arsenal it to pressure my opponent. I think realistically, I'm going to want to make sure my Skullcap is turned on for the rest of the game, while likely turning off Danny's for the rest of the game too. So I'm going to make a maybe suspect decision here, and I'm going to choose to declare no blocks on this and take the damage to.
Yeah. The reactions.
Taking 8, going to 5.
Ooh. Right. Well, over to you.
Alrighty, so Runeblade Incantation going to lose its final counter, knock me another Rune Chant over the course of its life, which means that this Rune Flash is going to be free.
Rune Flash. 3.
4 with Go Again, and 3 Arcane, but no Rune Chants made because I haven't played a non-attack.
How can I go to... That puts me at 6. I'm gonna have to see how this is. I'm valuing this extra point of luck quite a lot. I'm like, how do I get to 4?
How do you try and make sure you block me and fall to 4 and turn my Skullcap back off, huh? Really interesting little dilemmas you find here with that piece of equipment. I think it's very cool.
Yeah, the little dance is pretty great. If I don't like it too much, so I'm going to pitch 3 for the Rune Chanter.
Well, that's such a shame, but yeah, no worries, fair enough. You got 4 physical coming back at you.
I'm going to declare no blocks.
Ooh. So mad you prevented all that Arcane, I'll be honest. Yeah, I mean, I have no reactions here, so you can take 4. Now I need to think about how we want to do. I think it's very likely that the hand we kind of mapped out is correct. By attacking with the bigger attack here, we earn a card or we earn some armor guaranteed. And we get to arsenal a card, which I think is pretty impressive. If we go any other way, we use something to pay for a smaller attack. We do not threaten lethal. The card we arsenal is nowhere near as good. So I think this is mostly intuitive. I am just going to pitch this blue Vexing Malice and spend all 3 of it on an Amplify the Arknight.
Oh, an Amplify is not what I want to see right now. Okay. Okay. So, if I block that, I go. It's low.
Genuinely super interesting decision points over this pair of games. Definitely kind of very indicative of what Fab is all about. A lot of moving pieces, a lot of different pathways we both could have taken that would have maybe led to different results. It's been kind of beautiful to play, honestly.
So this is like, quite a risky one, but we're just gonna put Scaff Skins in front of it.
Okay, so blocking 2 with your equipment and trying to keep as much of your hand as you can. Yeah, no worries, no reactions from me. You are going down to 2. Which does in fact turn my Skullcap back off, which I really wish you would stop doing. I am, however, going to move to Arsenal. Keep that card safe for later. Refill and see what the return volley is for the full 3 cards over there.
Well, I love this so much, I'd like to do it again.
Oh. I'm so pissed. To give you context, Danny, not that you're going to play around this information because I know what you're like, the hand I drew is Become the Arknight, Revel in Runeblood, Double Mordred Tide.
Oh my gosh.
Which is somewhat difficult to navigate at the best of times, let alone having to block with some of it. gonna
having
make
3
this
worth of armor.
a fair bit worse in terms of what I can do, because Become the Arc Knight is in such a weird spot because it only gets me an attack. It does guarantee me a Swarming Gloom Veil. In theory. So what if I block with this? I take. Okay, so this has to be correct. I'm gonna block with Mordred Tide and Grasp of the Arc Knight to block 5 of this.
Sure.
I'm gonna take 3 and go to 2.
Oh, thrown in my castle.
Yep.
Yep. Rather painful. We'll close the chain. An arsenalist card. And a blue that blocks 3 off the top, I hope. I'm going to pass the...
Fingers crossed. So this incantation is going to blow itself up, whether we like it or not. I am going to become the Arc Knight, the big specialization payoff here. I'm going to discard the Mordred Tide and go search my deck for an attack instead. Which is going to be, quite simply, a Swarming Gloom Veil. Boop. It's going to come into my hand. I am, in fact, going to then... That doesn't do quite as much damage as I was hoping. This is still good enough. It's not quite as explosive as it could be, but it's still pretty good. We're going to Gloom Veil. This is going to make a rune chant as it comes in, which means it does have go again. It's coming in for 3.
Yes. How important is this? Decisions.
This is a close one. It's pretty razor thin.
Oh, no, it doesn't. Okay. Yeah, we're going to block with this.
Block with Massacre. Okay, sure. Which I think makes the rest of this pretty easy. We are going to pitch this red. 2, 2, and 1.
2, 2, 1.
Should earn the largest number of cards. Try and stop the attack back being quite so strong.
Or 1, 2, 2 in the order.
Really interesting game, this. A lot of moving pieces.
For sure, for sure. So I'm preventing 2. Do I hold this? What are the odds I see something? You'll see what I mean in a second when I say, God, this is a really weird one. I think maybe I want to play this card instead. So we're going to prevent the rune chant.
Rune chant is Preventer.
Prevent 1 arcane, taking 1.
Yeah.
And then using both pieces of equipment.
Very nice. Very well navigated. Yep. Gonna turn the Skullcap back on to get its value. Make sure I can never get it from mine. So physical blocked. Combat chain closed. Card in arsenal already. Over you go. Do you have a way to do 2 damage to me? 2 card hand over there.
Which way do I sequence this? I was just thinking. This comes out.
It looks like it should just be as easy as turning on Rosetta Thorn here for me, but it really isn't because the Skullcap exists, which means a blue can theoretically keep Danny alive.
2 block and armor. If only there was a reckless swing right now.
No reckless swings for you. I'm really hoping you don't draw one either. Yeah, no pew-pewing for 2 in this matchup. Sadly, Dash Pistol left on the sidelines today.
I think I'm...
That would definitely be an emote moving forward if I have content. I'll make that pew-pew for 2 emote.
I'm not sure what the order is here.
Ah.
Because if I do this,
Don't worry, chat. I'll hang out with you while Danny's sweating.
I think the correct thing is this because I want to contest you having a bigger hand.
Oh, yeah, Command & Conquer's pretty reasonable here. It pushes quite a bit of damage. And it's guaranteed to earn you 2 cards, because the armor does not soak up enough to not do that. So, what does that look like? I kind of want to play this into this, but there's no way I can do that, because that would theoretically guarantee me a kill. I think this is the best attack I have, so I've got to hold on to this and fire it off, even if I can't gain go again. Which means, realistically, what I should do is try and keep this in order to make a rune chant with Grasp of the Arknight, and then play this, given that I can't gain go again. So it should just be as easy as blocking for 6 here with the other 2 cards.
Yeah, so blocking the 6 here, you have 3 cards to play with,
Yep.
and 2 armor. So close chain. Yep, best of luck.
Thank you. I'll try my best, and let's see if this is good enough. So we are going to pitch the Oath of the Arknight, the blue one, and spend 2 of these resources to make a rune chant with Grasp of the Arknight. We're then going to spend the 1 on a Vexing Malice.
On a Vexing Malice, yeah, that's okay.
So this, for people that don't necessarily understand why this is so difficult, there's 1 physical, 2 arcane, and 1 arcane coming in here, which means to stop the 2 arcane, it earns a blue, because only the Skull Cap can prevent enough damage. And then they also need to stop the physical and the other arcanes. So there's a lot of pressure from a lot of different perspectives here, really kind of showcasing the power of Runeblade here to attack from multiple angles.
So, pitch 1 for the rune chant.
Rune chant Prevento.
Prevent the arcane.
Has the blue, arcane prevented, 1 physical.
I'm going to block with an alpha.
Okay, so we earned 3 cards, which is pretty good. But not enough for a kill. Away you go.
Okay. Honestly, well, that, again, if I didn't have 2 blues there, I have to pitch way more, you know, so I got quite lucky there. Here, we'll see how this goes. Floating 1, playing...
Wild Ride, oh no!
So we draw a card, we discard a card, it's a 6. It gains go again. We won't have any resources to do anything afterwards, but we do get an Intimidate.
Yeah, you do certainly don't get an Intimidate, so let me do that first. And you're coming in for 6. Intimidate away the card you would like to intimidate. Okay, so that's an interesting one. You actually save the card we're interested in keeping. Ugh, this is so tough. I don't have it. This is so difficult. 3, 4 of 5 of this would leave me with these, so I could theoretically pay for this into this maybe, or this into play this, or this into this. That might be the best thing I have. So I think I have to block 3, 4, 5 in this particular case.
Yes. Turning off my Skull Cap, making Rosette Thorn hit. So, yep. Go down to 1.
Yep, so Grasp has blocked up. Skullcap also blocked up. All the armor burnt. I'm down to 1.
So there was an argument there on my side to not attack, and then hold the blue for something else, you know, keep my Skullcap on. But I'm fishing for something, and I have to see if I hit it.
Yep.
So.
And I'm hoping to have scored a Skullcap kill. A kill for Rosetta Thorn now, off the back of having Skullcap off. I'm not entirely sure I can do it here, because the only way I have of gaining go again costs a fortune. And if you take any arcane, you die anyway. So how do I do this? I don't think I can actually turn on Thorn this turn, unfortunately.
Ooh.
Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything. It's kind of an interesting one, this. So I could do... So if I can do this, pitch to attack with this, but there's no go again, so I can't hit with the Thorn. If I pitch for this, I don't turn on Thorn. I haven't played a non-attack action. If I make a Rune Chant and attack with this, that doesn't give me go again either. Yeah, I don't see a way to turn it on. Hopefully I'm not missing something, but I think I just have to play this the way that I expect to. So I'm going to pitch this Tome of the Arknight to come in for 4 with go again.
4 with go again. So yeah, this will earn 2 cards.
The reason we don't play the non-attack action here first is because we expect to play the card in our arsenal to earn the whole hand, hopefully, as opposed to making a Rune Chant. Which is the plan. So you're blocking 6 here to make sure I don't squeak over for a point. And then we pitch a red to meet and greet for 4.
Yeah, so...
Which should earn the other 2 cards, hopefully.
Entire hand's got
which should hopefully give me a whole hand to work with on the way back.
So this is where, again, armor's incredibly crucial for these kind of moments. It helps you keep hands when you might not be able to otherwise.
Yeah, totally.
I'm going to throw it back to you.
Yep, and thankfully for me, it appears that I can turn on this Rosetta Thorn this time. So we are going to Yellow Movrian Skies in this case. Pitch, become the Arknight, spending 2 of it to make a Rune Chant with Grasp of the Arknight. Spending 1 of it on a blue meet and greet with Go Again and 1 Arcane.
Yeah, so pay for the Arcane, 5 and 2, and then... Oh.
6.
Whoa. And then block the physical.
Yeah, and then we pitch an attack with Rosetta Thorn, which can no longer be stopped by the Skullcap, as
Yeah,
we are
so
both on 1 life.
Yeah, so I would take the 1 here, even if I pitched it.
Ooh!
So, is it the next... it was a bit off.
No Reckless Swing.
Yeah, the card I was looking for...
if you find it, we'll take a look for folks, because this was the card I had to worry about. A really sweet defense reaction you gain access to as Brute called Reckless Swing. It blocks for 4 as a defense reaction, but it will make you discard a random card. However, if you do discard a 6, it deals 2 to the attacking hero. So I was at a point where I was no longer going to be able to beat this. My health was too low. If Danny draws it and hits a 6, I'm just dead. So I have to try and play around it. So this was the one we had to try and fade there, and thankfully we did do exactly that. So yeah, super wild game. 2 really close ones there, actually. Were both quite enjoyable.
Yeah,
a lot of moving pieces. Kind of showcase both decks pretty well, I think. So yeah, absolutely. All right, well,